Hey guys, Ruminating Reaper here. So I've just finished watching Pizza Movie on Disney Plus. This is written and directed by Nick Coker and Brian McElhaney, who make up the online sketch comedy duo Britannic. Obviously, they have posted their material all across the internet, most notably on YouTube, because look, 2026 is seemingly just the year for YouTubers to branch out into filmmaking. Obviously, Markiplier had Iron Lung, and Kane Parsons is also making the Backrooms movie, which is coming out this year. But where both of those are horror, this is obviously more leaning into comedy and absurdist comedy at that. And the whole setup just sounded absolutely wild. I knew I had to actually check this one out for myself. But does the film deliver on its ambitions as a wild, absurdist comedy? Well, let's find out. So the film follows Jack and Montgomery, two college roommates who are less than popular. Jack finds himself regularly bullied by his fellow students after an incident involving the school's football team, while Montgomery struggles with his confidence. One night, the two decide to stay in and just order a pizza, but before long they discover a tin of mints, which contains mind-altering psychedelic drugs, which they take and end up on a wild trip, of which the only cure is a slice of pizza. And so, the two head out on a seemingly simple quest to head out of their dorm room and get down to the reception to retrieve their pizza order before the 6 stages of the drug's effects can kick in. So, if you've seen any of the online discussion surrounding this film at all, you're likely well aware of a recurring meme of a comment on the trailer saying, "I'm good, bro." Well, as it turns out, that meme is not too far off the mark. If it's coming from the film's perspective, that is, because, yeah, it's good, bro. In fact, honestly, I'm kinda surprised by just how much I fucking loved it. So, if I were to boil down this film's setup, imagine everything everywhere all at once, but instead of taxes and saving the multiverse all within the IRS building, imagine, psychedelic drugs and pizza in a college dorm building, and yeah, wouldn't be too far off the mark. But beyond that, though, try to go in as blind as possible because, yeah, this thing is a wild, wild ride that takes you to some really unexpected places. It starts out simple enough, very much unassuming, following Jack and Montgomery and their sort of, their daily lives on campus and the sort of struggles they face. It does a good job of setting up the characters and indeed setting the tone for the film and also getting in some quite good laughs. And all of this to say that, once the crazy stuff starts, which thankfully is earlier on than you expect, yeah, this thing just locks in and yeah, just strap in and go along for the ride. But just to put it into perspective, all the sort of meme images you've been seeing of Gaten Matarazzo from this film, yeah, all of those happen quite early on before the crazy stuff really kicks in. It's just such a wild ride, full of so much creativity. There's a lot of really fun, inventive craft that has gone into this. There's some like puppetry, practical sets, some stop motion looking effects. A lot of practical effects have gone into this, and it's just so much fun. It's been made with so much love. There's also some really fun, stylish, and colorful visuals at play here, and generally, the presentation here is surprisingly strong. And of course, there's also just so many wild, wild plot ideas here. There's a whole thing about the RA group patrolling the dorms and ruling with an iron fist. And there's even a whole thing about this like pizza delivery robot called Snackatron who goes above and beyond to satisfy customers. Yeah, I loved Snackatron. I would do anything for Snackatron. And that's before we even mentioned the whole thing with the butterfly. Yeah, you gotta see the film. You gotta see the film to understand what's going on with the butterfly. It is nuts, and there's just it's just packed full of just absurd, wacky gags and just so many big laughs throughout. So many wild, unexpected moments that had me in hysterical fits of laughter. Seriously, yeah, it is just an absolute treat. And yet, it's all grounded in some surprisingly likable and sympathetic leads in Jack and Montgomery. The two are great. Obviously, Matarazzo does a great job as this guy who very much always recklessly acts in his own interests and, always plays the victim, while Sean Jambroni as Montgomery does a great job as this sort of meek, timid, unconfident guy who slowly has to come out of his shell. The two of them are great together. They're very likable and sympathetic leads, and their two personalities play off each other in very, very funny ways that allows the sort of wacky, trippy stuff at play to feel quite grounded in a surprisingly sincere heart that doesn't feel out of place. Admittedly, there are some sort of detours into the expected cliches. Like there's a third act breakup and the sort of motivational character building pep talks, and even at one point a villain making a bargain with the hero. A lot of those cliches do kind of make their way in here, unfortunately. But even when the plot goes in safer, expected directions, the film itself never fully plays it safe because, oh my god, if you if you thought the start of the film, the early segments, built to something wild, strap in for the final act because seriously, this thing takes turns that are so unexpected, so just wildly out there, out of left field. It is goddamn insane and absolutely hysterically funny, and yet does not feel out of place with the rest of the film. It is absolutely goddamn glorious, but at the same time also does deliver some really satisfying closure for the character arcs, and in general delivers the film's secret biggest strength in that it is an incredibly well written film with such a sharp script, full of setup and payoff. Everything that is set up, even the most insignificant random gags, are paid off in some way by the end in ways you will not expect. Yeah, this thing is just an absolute treat, and I highly recommend you check it out. Overall, Pizza Movie is an incredibly entertaining, absurdist ride full of wild, creative gags and plenty of inventiveness throughout, all anchored in a very likable and sympathetic leading pair. Yeah, I'm good, bro. Out of 10, Pizza Movie gets a 9. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Pizza Movie? What did you think of it? Are you a Britannic fan? I'd definitely like to hear that perspective. And would you like to see them direct more movies like this? And are you good, bro? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.
other.